It's like that. Welcome back to another episode of Survival Time. We finna get into what happened after Tupac died. So I know a lot of people think they know about the war with Deathrow, but we done been covering the war with Deathrow for a little minute. Like I want to say since like last year. Y'all can check the playlist out if y'all want to. I done put a few videos on there about like new recent videos, also about different parts of Deathrow, different guys, different bodyguards, different hood niggas. You know what I'm saying? And everybody got their own perspective and all of that on what happened. But we finna get into this one. This is basically what caused a lot of shit in Compton. People don't know. People really did die behind Tupac getting killed. So let's get into it.
Several bullet wounds sustained Saturday night, September 7th. He was 25 years old. Shakur was shot 4 times after leaving the Mike Tyson boxing match in Las Vegas in a car driven by Marion Suge Knight, the head of his label, Deathrow Records. The shots were fired from a Cadillac that drove up alongside Knight's BMW, but police still have no leads on a suspect or motive. Tupac had been on a respirator in the hospital and had 1 lung removed. Here's a look back on a turbulent life and career cut short.
Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. By this point, we all know the tale of Tupac's death being over an incident involving the Southside Crips and the Pirus in Compton, so I'm not going to go into the obvious, but the aftermath of Tupac being shot on September 7, 1996 in Vegas became known as 10 Days of Terror. Between September 7th and September 17th of 1996, Compton police documented 13 separate drive-by shootings directly tied to the Pirus versus Crips war over Tupac's assassination. This brief terrifying window resulted in roughly a dozen wounded and 3 confirmed homicides. The streets of Compton became a literal war zone. The murder of Tupac was viewed as massive disrespect. While the killing occurred under the Pirus' watch, they wanted revenge, and they wanted to make the Crips pay, so both sides went on offense and defense, leaving a trail of blood in Compton. Sunday, September 8th, 1996, the day after Tupac was shot, the streets of Compton were quiet, but the mob Pirus were hunting. Their first target was Darnell Brim, a notorious and high-ranking shot caller for the Southside Crips. Brim was ambushed at a local store on Atlantic Avenue. A vehicle crept up and unleashed a hail of gunfire, striking Brim multiple times. During the broad day assassination attempt, a heartbreaking tragedy occurred. A 10-year-old girl who was an innocent bystander was struck in the back by a stray bullet. As Brim collapsed, he fell directly on top of the wounded child. According to police reports, the shooter then exited his vehicle and walked up to Brim's fallen body. His gun was outstretched and he was there to finish the job. However, upon seeing the bleeding 10-year-old lying beneath the gang leader, the shooter paused. He lowered his weapon and walked away without firing a fatal shot. Both Brim and the young girl survived their critical injuries.
We seen that in another situation, another video with a nigga named CK Vale. And he was the one who basically pulled the trigger on him and his homie. But my thing is, one thing about this situation, I know for a fact Tupac wouldn't have liked, something like this going down. He would have really felt some type of way about this little girl getting shot. This ain't something Tupac would have wanted in his name and his honor. And I really wish people would understand certain things when they go about doing certain things for other people when they trying to seek revenge for somebody. Because you got to be more cautious and more careful. Not even just that. You got to start noticing how retaliation can be a disease. How it can not only fuck the other person up, but it can fuck you up as a whole, and it can fuck everybody else up around you, and it becomes an epidemic, and people don't realize it. Because now you might have somebody in her family that turn into gangbanging and start hating Bloods because of the simple fact they lost their little sister or their little cousin or whatever. People don't stop to think about none of these things in our community. They don't really give no fuck about what's going on for real. They just worried about that goal, that end game. And it's like, bro, Kane even said, bro, and these niggas doing this shit in broad daylight, my nigga. No women, no kids. And I hate when niggas say that because back then they was still killing women and kids on accident. They was doing it on purpose sometimes, but we'll get back into it.
The violence quickly escalated from attempted murder to confirmed fatalities. On the morning of September 11th, just 2 days before Tupac would officially die to his wounds, 30-year-old Bobby Finch became the first casualty of the war. Finch, who police identified as a suspected member of the Southside Crips, had just dropped his 10-year-old daughter off at her school. He was sitting at the wheel of his new car in front of his mother's house, preparing to head off to the gym. Suddenly, a car pulled up alongside of his car, and multiple shots were fired point-blank range. Finch sustained severe chest wounds and was rushed to the Martin Luther King Jr. Hospital, where he was pronounced dead minutes after his arrival. The Southside Crips took losses, so they wanted revenge. They struck back against the Pirus with lethal force. In the days that followed, 2 more men were gunned down in the streets of Compton, Timothy Flanagan and Marcus Childs, both whom police believe were Pirus. Both were killed in separate drive-by retaliations. The streets were locked into an endless cycle of vengeance.
Both sets knew who the players were in the shooting. They knew it was Southside that did the shooting. So naturally the retaliation is going to start going. So I think the Bloods started it. And then from there, they retaliated because of that and went and shot a couple of Bloods. And it was on. It was on.
What happened was that all the players that were from Compton came back to Compton. And we were told that, hey, you know, Southside was responsible for the shooting of Tupac, so it's coming back to Compton. And what that meant to us, a war was about to start. And sure enough, like 2 days later, it started.
Okay. Now, how many people were killed during this war?
I think in the next 10 days, we had 3 people murdered and I want to say 11 shootings.
12 shootings, yeah.
Between Southside Crips and the mob Piru in Looters Park.
Several more were shot, but they all survived. Even Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, Tupac's alleged killer. He survived, but he was later killed in 1998 in a separate incident.
Point blank, did you kill Tupac Shakur?
I didn't kill Tupac. I mean, I don't know why, you know what I'm saying? They would even say something like that. I mean, you know, I just want to tell everyone that, you know what I mean, I didn't do it, and I feel sorry for him, you know what I'm saying, his fans and his, and his family and friends.
From 1995 to date, have you ever ridden in a white Cadillac?
No.
After this, police cracked down on both gangs. On the morning of October 2nd of 1996, 300 law enforcement personnel from multiple agencies moved into Compton.
I'm sorry, y'all, but when the fuck is somebody gonna just openly admit to doing a crime or doing a murder, bro? I hate police, bro, because I'm not finna ask you shit. I'm finna investigate the fuck out this shit till I know what the fuck going on. Because I know you're not gonna tell me the truth. I know you're gonna tell me what the fuck is gonna get you out of these cuffs or what's gonna get you out of this situation. And then you see the smirk on his face, like he just really trying to think of what he gonna say. That's how you know niggas is stunned they move. So that's another thing I can get into right there. We could say that. And then they also say he might not have done the shooting. He just was in the car type shit. But I don't know. Personally, I believe he did that shit just off of how his demeanor was after the fact. I seen that interview a couple times, and Suge Knight had paid him to go on the stand and say that he didn't jump him. He was trying to break the fight up when Tupac ran up on him, so that Suge Knight wouldn't go to jail and shit. That was another thing that people ain't talking about right now. But he did get killed at the gas station trying to get some money from another drug dealer or whatever, and got his ass popped. Thought it was sweet because he upped his heat and got his ass shot. And that's why I tell niggas, just because you got a gun don't mean you protected and safe, my nigga. Get your shit together.
And surrounding communities including Linwood, Paramount, Downey, Lakewood, and Long Beach. Officers executed search warrants to prevent suspects from warning one another or to stop them from moving weapons and evidence before police arrived. The operation targeted homes, apartments, and known gang hangouts connected to individuals in the shootings. Officers searched property for firearms, bullets, gun records, photographs, and other evidence that could help identify shooters and stop further attacks. Orlando Anderson and the Southside Compton Crips were also arrested, and by that time point, Compton detectives already viewed him as a key figure in their investigation and had reportedly shared information about him with the Las Vegas authorities. However, despite the scale of the raid and the intelligence gathered, Orlando Anderson was not charged with Tupac's murder during the operation.
The suspects are being booked at the Compton Police Department for charges that include homicide, conspiracy to commit murder, and assault with a deadly weapon, as well as some other crimes as a result of the items found at the locations. Our investigators have investigated the shootings in Compton and revealed that some of the motivation for some of the shootings in the city of Compton may have been retaliation for events that occurred in the city of Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. Las Vegas Police Department was present as observers to our operation. We have cooperated fully with them and have made our arrestees or anyone else that we contacted available if they choose to interview those persons in connection with the events that transpired in the city of Las Vegas. To dispel some rumors, None of the suspects that we arrested will be charged at the present time with any crimes occurring in Las Vegas.
The raid's immediate purpose was to disrupt the ongoing war and recover weapons in the shootings that had erupted in Compton after Tupac was shot. Investigators later said the operation helped reduce the violence and gave them a clearer picture of the people involved, even though many details of the investigation remained sealed or were never fully released to the public. One reason the raid has become part of Tupac lore is that it shows how seriously local investigators viewed the connection between Las Vegas shooting and the violence unfolding in Compton. Detectives believed they had identified many of the major players within days, but the coordination between the agencies and a lack of fully developed homicide case in Las Vegas meant that no immediate murder charges resulted from the raid itself. As a result, the operation became less known for arrests and more known for being a moment when law enforcement became more aggressive to halt the retaliation cycle that had left many people shot and several dead in weeks. All this happened after Tupac's death, and this all happened nearly 30 years ago, and the war in Compton still goes on. This will
Man, look, when it comes to the Tupac situation, Las Vegas PD dropped the ball because they didn't pick up no shields. They didn't even tape off the scene at first. They waited like 30 years to do that. Another thing is when that gun got found for the murder, it was in somebody else's backyard or some goofy ass shit that I don't even think had anything to do with the damn murder. Then another thing is how the fuck do a Cadillac get away, all white Cadillac get away after shooting like that, and nobody catch nothing on a damn Las Vegas strip. Out of all the people that I done seen when I was in Vegas, it was hella motherfuckers on the strip, and this was during COVID, so I know the motherfucking strip was supposed to be packed around that time. And another thing that I want to point out for Tupac is I wish he wouldn't, but I can't say I wish he wouldn't, because at the same time, them niggas was probably already there in my eyes to murder him anyway, because Puffy had made statements as far as wanting to put a bounty on niggas and a bunch of other shit as far as just trying to get rid of the problem, because you don't hire Crips to protect you when you go to California for no reason. You hiring these niggas for a reason. You hiring these niggas to make sure you're good. At the same time, you don't know what they gonna do to make sure you're good, and you don't know what the fuck they gonna take that you said seriously. And I heard that Puffy paid motherfuckers and things like that. So that's another thing I will point out also. Like, I believe Tupac got the opportunity to beat the fuck out of his killer before he got to him type shit. That's how I always looked at it. But at the same time, I just wish it never happened, because that nigga should still be here. That's one of the most powerful people we had at a point in time. And people didn't realize that the same way they didn't realize that with Nipsey and a few other people that I could get into it that were entertainers, or even Michael Jackson. Like, we don't realize how important these people be until they gone. And it's too late for us to realize the shit. But this is sincerely why I get into these videos, because I get sick of seeing wasted potential, especially in my community, because it's always happening so often in my community. But people be so cool with the shit happening that it blows the fuck out of me, because they'll say, oh, so what? So what? Let people be them. Let people do them. Nah, nigga, it's not about that, bro. It's bigger than that. And sometimes we all got to step in as a village and make shit happen. We can't just be so selfish and say, let them be them, or we don't, it ain't bothering us, because then when it do hit us, because it's eventually going to hit us, then what? Now we have nobody on our side. That's like when niggas be screaming for help after they done got caught up for some shit and they actually innocent, but they wouldn't help another innocent man when he was in that position because he didn't have nothing to do with them. Fuck that. Always be ready to step in and stop things from happening and going further and escalating, because you never know who life you could be saving, and you never know what the fuck could happen if you would have done something. You don't have to die for a motherfucker, but you could at least step in, handle some shit, or stop, talk to a motherfucker, get a situation calm, or whatever, however you could do it. But you don't have to, put your life on the line. I understand when niggas don't want to do that. But as far as like guiding the community and helping motherfuckers understand, we got higher purposes. We got more things that we need to be handling. We got bigger goals to be handling than to be killing each other off like flies and shit. But y'all let me know what the fuck y'all think. Like I said, I don't feel Tupac should be dead. I feel he should still be here. And I wish we knew what the fuck 100% happened to him, so everybody could sleep at night, because I feel like a lot of people would love to know what happened to Tupac, as far as like how he died, who killed him, and what happened, because nobody really knows for real. Compton know, we don't know for real. But y'all let me know what the fuck y'all think. Like, subscribe, peace, I'm out.
Understand what work is. These snakes is lurking, observing, trying to close your curtains. These hoes be perping. Oh, she told me, boy, watch your back.